Hello, thanks for tuning in and welcome to the pool party. I hope you can swim because we're definitely diving into the deep end with a huge splash of truth, facts, evidence, information, and proof. Swim. Say what you mean. It's talk about talking. How we listen, how we hear, how we speak, how we hear what we're listening to when we speak, how a listener hears what we're saying, if what we're saying, what they're actually hearing and or understanding. Is it clear? Swim. Say what you mean. Well, that's just the beginning of understanding, because after we get that understanding, how do we accept it? How we respond if it's not what we expect is paramount. Are you okay with the truth? Are you man, woman, human, or spiritual enough to accept the truth? Let's find out. Welcome to The Swimming Pool with your host, Travis Bridges.
And that would be me. Good evening and welcome. SWYM. That is the acronym for Say What You Mean. Are you saying what you mean? Are you meaning what you say? Or are you just running your mouth? That's a serious question, so answer it for me. What are you doing? Are you saying what you mean? Or are you meaning what you say? Or are you running your mouth? Which is it? Anyway, welcome to another Wednesday edition. I am your host, Travis Bridges. And let me just talk about the concept of what this is about. You hear it in the intro, and of course you hear it in the closing, but I'd like to talk about it too, because everything needs a concept, a reason, a focal point. And the reason I'm here is to bring awareness to how we listen, how we hear. Whether or not we pay attention to what we're listening to, what someone is saying, what they are actually meaning, and if we are hearing what they're saying as well as their meaning. Sometimes you can have a conversation and that can not be a problem. You can get along with someone or a group of people or an organization or whatnot, and there is no problem. My reason for being here and bringing awareness is whenever there's conflict, because you don't need it until you need it. If you're getting along, good for you and who you're getting along with. But not everybody gets along all the time. So during those times of conflict, there are certain types of filters you can run whatever issue you're having through. Something called universal principles and or points of references. It's so easy. It's not difficult. Unfortunately, our attitude, our ego, our personal wants and desires get in the way, and it's hard to compete against the ego, the id and the super ego. I'm getting into a whole nother subject, but I won't get into that. Just pay attention to what I'm trying to say. I'm just, my mother's child, and I'm just someone who's bringing a message. Please don't shoot me. If you don't find anything good in what I'm saying, please move on. You don't have to criticize. You don't have to cancel me. Just be okay with it, unless I'm breaking some kind of laws, and that is not my intention. I don't want to break the law. I don't want to break the rules. I don't even want to step on any toes unless they're in the way and I'm going somewhere. But I don't want to do that in any kind of way. I have a guest standing by, and we're going to talk right about now. Guest, are you with me?
I'm with you.
Awesome. All right. So last week, can you hear me okay?
I can.
Okay. Let me say something about, what's going on right now. I don't think I'm getting old. I think since the new year, and it's not a new year resolution as much as it's just, perfect timing, coincidental, that I decided I would try to get my life a little different in regards to my health and my fitness. So I've been waking up at like 4:30 or 5 in the morning, getting water in and getting 2 workouts in, before even 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And by 5 or 6 o'clock in the afternoon, I am pooped. So it's like 9 now. When I log off here, I am going to hit that pillow like you wouldn't believe it. But anyway, last week you were not available, and I had to call my emergency contact, and we had a pretty good conversation. So what I want to do is just get a very short opinion about what I talked about last week from you, and then we'll get right into what the subject is going to be for tonight. But before you do that, I want to say hey to Anthony Monroe and Christine. Thank y'all so much for being in the house with me. You know I appreciate it. Okay, are you ready, guys?
I am absolutely ready.
Okay, so last week I talked about makeup, and I talked about reasons people wear makeup, and I gave my personal opinion about what I think about makeup. And I would like to know your opinion, but I'm going to do it a little different. Normally I get my guest's opinion and then I share my thoughts, but I want to tell you what I think about makeup first. Okay, I think makeup is a type of camouflage. And before I get into, my thoughts, I don't want to come against anyone who need it, to keep them from going over the edge if they need motivation or inspiration or encouragement for whatever. If they feel like, makeup makes them and then they need it, so be it. Or if you, for medical reasons, need makeup because of surgery of some sort, some reason or something like that. For reasons like that, I'm not knocking it at all. I'm not knocking it anyway. It's just a preference for me. And when I see makeup, it's like, who is that? And I gave an example last week. This is a little graphic, so be careful. I talked about men, and what would be equivalent to women in particular, wearing makeup. And I said if a man could find a way to put on some muscles, and then I used the example putting a sock in their pants, to be enhanced from a male perspective. And, whatever women are attracted to, whether it's nice, strong muscles, or it would add some height, maybe with thick bottom shoes or whatever women like. If men would do that, how would a woman feel if she got to a different place with this person to realize that those pecs are not real? Those are not real muscles. That's not a six pack that was being displayed. And that sock that was in his pants is, just an illusion there. Is that at all compatible to what makeup is to women? Yes or no?
That's a pretty good question. I have to say that the cosmetic industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry for that same reason. I think there's a lot of elements that play into this, and that is that we live in a society that has pretty much campaigned that we're not good enough in our raw state. And I say that because I think it plays a role for both men and women to feel to the point that they need to maybe, in your words, camouflage the way they normally would look. But I think there are many different components as to why women have makeup and use makeup. Okay, so and just to give you my high-level view on this, I think, and I can only really give you my view. I don't know why the rest of the women might do it, but I know I use makeup, very minimal makeup, because I have very sensitive skin, so I can't use much of it at all. But I'm happy to use what I like to use, because it's actually kind of fun. Travis, I sit down in front of the mirror and I get to play around with maybe eyeshadow, eyeliner, whatever the case may be, on the minimal amount of makeup I can use. And it's actually fun and very interesting to see the final artwork.
Artwork.
Yes.
Wow. It's amazing. And now I made a comment and it kind of got me in trouble. I said, I talked about makeup and I used a term, and I asked last week to not get in any trouble for talking about drag queens and how they make, their faces up to maybe reach the epitome of femininity. And when you go to, or I say go to as if I've been, as I've passed by, I've never been, well, anyway, when you see drag queens during a drag queen show for whatever, gosh, I hope I don't get in any trouble. That makeup is on like a pot of neck bones, and it is like in there like swimwear. And then I made reference to how clowns accentuate their look. And sometimes there are some women that are, I guess, are beautiful. And I look at that from afar and it's like, that looks like a clown to me. And then you see that person with no makeup and it's like, oh my God, you're beautiful. Why did you need all that stuff on your face? And you ever tried to get that stuff off of a couch or a pillowcase or, your car seat or something? It's incredible. So again, let me just say this before I say another word. I don't have a problem with people who wear makeup. I'm not trying to knock makeup artists in any kind of way. People who need it and want it, by all means, put as much on as you can dig up and just cake it on as much as you can. I just want to say, for me personally, and as a single man, if I'm looking, at women, the less they have on, the better, because I really do look for that natural beauty and I see a different level of confidence. The less makeup I see a different level of confidence. Again, please don't be mad at me if you like makeup and if you wear it. If you are particularly a makeup artist, please, I'm not trying to knock what you do. I'm going to get off that subject unless you have something else to say. It's just not a preference for me. And I'm going to ask you this question before I move on. Have you ever dated a man, been with a man, your husband in the past, or brothers or anything? Has any man ever said to you, honey, please put on some makeup? Yes or no?
No.
No. Okay, I'm going to leave it right there. Anything you want to say before I move on to the next subject?
I'll leave the audience with this one. No, I think it's a matter of perception and how you view makeup and its functionality and what it does. So I'll just leave it at that. Because you might well just make this another segment one day and we can take that up at that point.
I definitely will. It's one of my most intense, topics, and I will occasionally throw it out there. In no way am I knocking it. And some women do look nice while they have it made up, but it's definitely not a request or a preference or a desire for me. And I believe, as I said last week, I speak for at least one other man in the whole world. So with that being said, I'm going to move on to something. And before I get into my top topic, I want to read something that I wrote a long time ago, and I'm going to pull it up here in just a second. Oh man, let me find it. It's supposed to be right here. Now I'm embarrassed that I don't. Where is it? Come on, man. I don't have. Oh, okay. Here it is. Okay. All right. You ready for this? I'm going to try to read real intelligent and like with dignity. This is called What If? And this was in 2010, September 9th of 2010 that I wrote this. I want you to tell me what you think of this before we get into the topic. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, it's entitled What If, and it goes as follows. What if you could really be who you wanted to be? Do what you wanted to do? Go where you wanted to go and see who you wanted to see? Think. Eat what you wanted to eat and drink what you wanted to drink. Say what you wanted to say. Give what you wanted to give and pay what you wanted to pay. Drive what you wanted to drive and live as long as you wanted to stay alive. What if? Could you be happier? Yes or no? That's the question for you. Did you hear that, or do I need to read it over?
I think I pretty much got it. It's pretty much the autonomy to do what if and anything you would want to do in life, period.
Mm-hmm. That sounds like a lot of freedom. Yeah?
It definitely does. And
Okay.
I have to say that I don't think mentally. I think we are worse critics, right? Mentally, and I think a lot of the time we impede ourselves from exploring the what if and making it happen, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my opinion, but I do feel that many folks can live and do whatever they want to do, how they want to do it, and map out their entire lives how they want to. The only thing I think we don't have control of it is living forever. Because I'll leave that in God's hands, right? Because we don't know our day or hour. But everything else that we have in life, why don't we actually step out? And sometimes people look at fear is a big driver of the unknown. That is our biggest fear. And because of that, we never go as far as exploring the what if. What do you think about that?
Okay, well, that takes me right to my point. I've got to pull up something else that I actually did post on my social media, and I've got to find it now. And I'm going to read that to you, and then we'll really get into it. I keep saying we're going to really get into it, but I really mean it. We are going to get into it in just a second. So I'm going to read it. Let me find it. Okay. It says, I just learned a term this week called cancel culture. I heard it before, but the reality and faith and fullness of it is hitting hard. There's a place we can go that exposes us to quite a few realities that can never be viewed the same again. Opened eyes and ears can't unsee or unhear knowledge, truth and or, I'm messing up my, open eyes and ears can't unsee or unhear knowledge, truth and or be unexposed to wisdom. Bodies and minds can be locked away, but a freed soul can never be imprisoned. Exposure to knowledge and information is powerful, but can occasionally be a curse and a blessing. Okay, so let me just get into what I'm talking about. I learned about cancel culture because I started listening to some podcasters, and I found out a few of them were canceled from certain social media platforms because of their influence or beliefs. And as I began to listen, I had no idea that they were canceled. And it's not just one, it's quite a few. And it kind of bothered me because as I started to listen, it's like, wow, I can see why that would bother some people or a certain, group of, people. But I didn't hear anything wrong. And is the Second Amendment really, legitimate when it comes to freedom of speech? Can you really have an opinion? Can you say what you want to say? Can you do what you want to do? How free are we to speak? And, I'm just, a kid from Pitt Street, and I just have my little live stream, and I can only imagine if I said something to offend somebody and then I got, hate for it. And then definitely if someone thought what I was saying was big enough to cancel me from just speaking my own thoughts and opinion. So what are your thoughts about cancel culture? Have you heard that term? Do you know what it means? And if so, what does it actually mean to you?
It's funny you bring up this topic. I didn't even know there was an actual term for it until recently in talks with, some of my kids and some friends, right? But recently I just want to share this story. I had I took my daughter, my granddaughter, to see this show called Shen Yu, and it was amazing. It's one of the most amazing dance stories you can probably see in live performance. And the reason why they bring this is to bring a visual as to some of the scrutiny and some of the torture happening in China today, because obviously China is a communist country, and there you have no such amendment or anything will drive freedom of speech. Bottom line is you say something wrong, and you can get implicated and locked up and probably never even seen again. Unlike here in the U.S., we probably have more flexibility on what we look at as freedom of speech. However, I do feel that we are still controlled very much. And I say that because for me, cancel culture can have both positive and negative implications. It really depends on who's driving the narrative and the agenda and how that's being driven and who's driving it, right? And, and I'll just give you an example. from a positive perspective, how has cancel culture probably worked in a positive way? Well, when we look at people like R. Kelly, maybe, taking advantage of a 14-year-old, we wouldn't want someone like that to succeed. So if we remove privileges like social media and even get even more deep into this, where it causes financial implications to a person, we're probably like, that person deserved it, right? Or even Linda Spearhurst, who, prosecuted the 5 Harlem young men, injustifiable. So when you think about that, it's like, wow, cancel culture actually worked in our favor to see justice through to people who really was damaging to society. Versus on the opposite end, where it could be working in a negative way, where we see this is unjust to someone. For example, what happened recently with Kyrie Irving, and just his mention of Black people and it being the chosen one that opposed to the Jews, that was a big problem, right? But this is a point. He had the freedom to speak, but really not really, and this could be very damaging to people's careers and financial means. Kanye West is one of them too. And I just feel that this is where it could, cancel culture can take on a negative aspect. But I'll stop there for a moment because I'm sure you have some feedback to cross back here. But that's kind of my thought and where cancel culture can be positive, negative, and almost dangerous. But I'm not going to go to the dangerous piece just yet.
Okay. Well, thanks for allowing me to jump in. The first thing you mentioned was R. Kelly. I don't like to mention people, but I'm going to try it again. I don't know that whole story. I don't know the details of it. I never saw the special that aired on TV. I don't know anything about it. I like R. Kelly's music. I remember the first song that he came out with R. Kelly in Public Announcement called Vibe. I was bouncing to that. That was in one of my prime times of being on radio. And I think he's, as a fellow musician, I just, hate that, he got caught up like that, because I miss his talent in terms of, the music that he would put out. In terms of anyone actually breaking the law, universal principles, laws, and points of references must be adhered to as it relates to society. We can't just go along breaking laws. And if he broke the law and was found guilty in the court of his peers, then so be it. I don't know much about it. I don't want to put my mouth on him. But anybody that actually is, breaking the law against, nature and other people, then you cannot do that. That's not what I'm talking about at all. You need to be, dealt with accordingly if you break the law. My point now is, people speaking their opinion or their thoughts or bringing awareness or influencing, people, I guess, against the general narrative. You really cannot say what you want to say without, the backlash. And again, the reality of it is, kind of hitting me. Again, I'm probably going to be the guy that complies. Yeah, they can shut me up. I'm not going to be a bad cat and say, okay, I don't care. I'm going to talk anyway. I'm just not made like that. I'm not a wimp or a wuss, but I do believe in, respecting people that are more powerful than me. So nobody can tell me. I remember, even when my mama used to tell me to go somewhere and sit down, under my breath, I would be like, go somewhere and sit down, but I would never say that. And no one can stop your mind or your emotions. But, people with power can do things to you. And it's not about being bold. It's about being wise sometimes. So with that being said, I'm just going to remove myself from that equation, because I don't have enough power myself yet to actually to be, that free. But it is amazing. It's interesting when you dig into some of the people that are being canceled and why they're being canceled. It's just interesting, and it's new for me, and I'll probably be getting involved in it with a little bit more, because I can't ignore it. I can't just not say anything or not even investigate it. Research it. Why are so many people being shut down and being censored. So that's all. I just kind of want to talk about it because it was like a rude awakening for me when I realized, wait a minute, yeah, that can happen to you if you just say something that somebody doesn't like, they can get you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's real.
Not to mention, people's pocket get impacted too. I just look at poor Kanye. I mean, like millions, like just instantly. I was just shocked, honestly, Travis, and it's just, I think it's wrong in certain instances to see this happen, and it can happen to good people too. Just like you said, in seconds, just by saying something. And I'm just wondering, what are your thoughts about how entities and even who may be driving these types of cancel culture type of, narratives? Do you think, I haven't seen society really respond to these just yet. And I'm just wondering, do you feel the way you feel based on your own sense of morals and values, or is it something else?
Definitely my own sense of morals and values, but what I think it is that's tapping into the real of who I am. And I think it taps into everyone. I'm finding that people are so busy trying to hold on to what they have, in terms of a job and a home and a family, that we don't have time to look around at some of the freedoms that are being slowly taken. And I heard something that was, I hope I'm not being wrongly influenced by some of the things I hear, but there's something about truth that touches your soul, and you can't unhear it or unsee it. Once the light comes on, you go, whoa, wait a minute. And I'm going to try to paraphrase. They said something equivalent to, your freedom is being taken away in the name of safety. You're being made safety. You're being made safe, but you have a little less freedom. And I thought about it. It's like, whoa, that has happened. It is happening. And pretty soon, if we have enough things to frighten us, we're going to comply because we have a high level of fear, and we're going to want to comply because we don't want to be amongst those that are not safe. And, even if it means taking away some of our freedom, we're just going to comply. And before you know it, you are, like that rat in the box. You can't get out. You've taken that cheese and now you just can't. The peanut butter, the cracker, whatever is put on the trap, for lack of a better word. And then you're caught, and then it's too late. Your mouth is all greasy, and, you're fat and you're full and you're overweight and you can't even move anymore. And now you're just, surrounded by, not having any freedom at all. So I'm going to try to leave it there because I definitely don't want to be the one saying too much. But listening to some of the things that I've been hearing as of late, it's a little scary. And I know that, we're so busy doing our jobs. We're trying to keep our lights on and keep our bills paid and everything. We don't have time to fight, because if we get hungry, we're going to be weak anyway. So we'll just be okay with losing a little freedom in the name of safety of the little, goods that we do have. So I'm going to try to shut it down unless you have something else to say. Cancel culture.
So I just kind of want to definitely leave you and the audience here probably listening today, just, food for thought. Whereas, do we feel like we're free anymore? And, I just made a mention of, China and its communism and the ability not to have that freedom of speech. But I feel like there's a narrative driven here now. And I'm wondering if you don't conform to society and what's being drawn out almost controllably over us, that you may seem the outsider, the one that doesn't agree. And if you don't agree, then you looked upon negatively. And it's scary, like you said. And, I know there's going to be more to come and see as we go down the road, but definitely to your point, I think I almost feel like it's done purposefully, but that's just my own opinion, where we are all driven so hard to stay in the dynamics that we don't have time to see what's happening around us. But this was a good topic, Travis. Thanks for allowing me to come on board and talk about it a little bit.
No, thank you for being there. Again, I'm just, my mama's child, and, I have a little skills from my radio days, and I know how to put a few things together. It's so easy. You can just go to your phone now. But I like to be a little sophisticated. I'm still on the road. I've got travel going on. And I just kind of set up mobily in this location for a little while. And I don't have my fancy music and stuff. But I still do have a message. And this was a topic that just got me. Like the last week or so, I've been just listening to some stuff. And I guess it's somewhat influential. And it has caused me to think. And, maybe we're not supposed to be free. Maybe we're supposed to be controlled. Maybe we're supposed to be under, someone else's watch and not really have freedom other than to work and then to eat. Just going to leave it right there. Thank you again so much. I'm going to go ahead and let you go unless you have anything else to say.
All right. No, it's fun. Thank you, Travis, and thank the audience for listening. Thanks for having me.
All right. We'll talk soon. Love you much. Oh, do me a favor before you go. Find somebody you need to say I love you to. Don't just say it. Give them a little kiss and mean it too, okay?
You got it. All right. Thanks, Travis.
All right. Have a good night. There you have it, my friends. Appreciate my guests for being there. Cancel culture. I've heard it, but I got an actual taste of, what it is when I look around at people that are being affected by certain energies, forces, so to speak. It could happen to any of us. So let's not look at somebody because they did something that maybe you didn't like, and because maybe we got what is considered, or they got was considered what was coming to them, that it could happen to you. Just have to admit it. When someone is more powerful than you, that's just what it means. They're more powerful than you. I don't care how strong, big, and bad you are. If you're met in the alley with a number of people that are more forceful than you, you probably won't make it out, especially with whatever goods you may have on you. And, it's just one of those things. You may not be as free as you think you are, and there's nothing you can really do about it other than what we are all doing, trying to protect the little that we have and be safe. But pay attention. There are lots of people that are, I guess, trying to be bad and trying to just talk a little bit. They're getting it from the higher power. You can call them bullies if you want to. You can call them controllers, whatever. But it's happening. Cancel culture is real in many forms. And just before I go, I want to put this on the screen, to go along with what I said. And I'm going to put it on the screen, and then I'm going to try to read it again so that you can think about it. I'm going to be a little bit dramatic right now as I put this on the screen and I talk about cancel culture. All right, you ready? I wish I had my music, but I don't. So I'm going to read in my dramatic voice. Are you ready? Here we go. I heard of it before, but the reality and fullness of it is hitting hard. There's a place we can go that exposes us to quite a few realities that can never be viewed the same again. Opened eyes and ears can't unsee or unhear knowledge, truth, and or be unexposed to wisdom. Bodies and minds can be locked away, but a freed soul can never be imprisoned. Exposure to knowledge and information is powerful, but can occasionally be a curse and a blessing, or a blessing and a curse. The reason I put that actual image up there was not because I was trying to bring awareness to any ethnicity whatsoever, But I remember seeing that as a little boy and how it tugged at my heart to understand that this image that was representing the native land was affected by the change. And even as a little boy, 8, 9, 7, 8, however old I was, when I remember seeing that commercial, the idea that once upon a time, the land was natural and free and organic, so to speak. And then, technology and, things came along and just kind of polluted it. And that was the message, keeping, the land beautiful, and someone that was representing the nativeness of the land was, saddened by what had happened. So again, my post had nothing to do with any ethnicity as much as the pollution that's happening, I guess, in the world today with change as it relates to being pure and innocent and organic. We don't have some of the same freedoms that we once had. And I'm saying we, because maybe some people may not be affected by it, but things have changed. I've been around long enough now to see it. I said on a response to one of my posts, I remember that feeling. I've lived long enough now to actually experience it. Things are very different. And who knows where we're going. But it's kind of scary when you get my age and you think about it. Anyway, just going to leave it there. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And share it if you want to. I just got an awakening, in regards to how things are just different now. So enjoy the rest of your week. Take good care of yourself. Work real good and hard now, you hear? And make that money and take care of yourself and take care of your family. But be aware of your surroundings, what's happening to other people, whether they deserve it or whether we think they do or not, or whether there's justification for it. You could be next. And certain religions say trust in God. Sometimes that's all you have. And it's not a bad thing to do. With that being said, have a great rest of the week. And till the next time, find somebody you need to say, I love you too. Don't just say it, but mean it. Good night.
SWYM. Say what you mean. As much as this information is designed to bring awareness to how we listen, hear, and process, it is also a form of therapy. The little person inside of all of us needs to be heard. As adults, even listening to ourselves is a form of healing, strengthening, and growth. It's okay to speak, talk, express yourself, and be heard, even if you're the only listener. If our testimony does anything at all for anyone else, that makes the continued effort worth the time. Get the words out. You'll feel better, and that's a promise. Thanks for tuning in. We really appreciate it.
Y'all listen to what Ben Sidgwick says here, okay? Check it out.
Sometimes it seems like all the good times are gone. But you got to keep on searching.
You got to keep on keeping on. For example, take me.
Standing right here today.
I would not be here with you if I believed the things that the people say. You got to keep on searching. Keep it on the cool side. Let's do it.
Keep on
Good night.